Make sure everything's working. And let's get started. There's so much information, and tonight we're going to spring forward, right? So it really is 2 o'clock in the morning instead of 1 o'clock, I think. Or did it spring forward already? Did it automatically? Okay. Let's see what time it is. I think my phone already does that. So it's almost 1 o'clock because of the 1 hour time change. And we are on day 2045 days of lots and lots of work of investigating our son, who we know now, of course, is the Fort Bliss whistleblower soldier. Absolutely a hero, absolutely a hero. If you haven't heard of him, his name is Richard Halliday. And he was absolutely recognized by President Trump back in 2020 when his life was taken from him. He was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss because this was a cartel inside job on our military installation on Fort Bliss. Yes, there is cartel in the United States, right? We all know that. And this is a very big deal because I think we even named the cartel the El Paso Mormon faction cartel in alliance with the Mexican cartels. And they went after President Trump, y'all. They went after President Trump. Richard was the whistleblower on base. And they forcibly removed him from his barracks room and took him downstairs to the basement room in that building and took his life and stole his body off of Fort Bliss and trafficked it to Mexico for disposal. And all evidence indicates at a place called Plenitude Crematorium, which is now, really been ignored by Scheinbaum, right? Mexican President Scheinbaum, where when they raided that place, well, I don't know if you call it a raid, when they, yeah, I guess so, over 400 bodies they found in one go in that place, 400 bodies piled up, rat infested, filthy conditions, hidden in every crevice. And I guess President of Mexico, Scheinbaum, doesn't really care too much, She doesn't care about this crime against humanity because the owners are hiding in El Paso. Well, they're not even hiding. They're driving around in their $150,000 SUV, right? Audi SUV. So we've reported on all of that, but President Trump is, absolutely understands the situation much better than we do, and he has been systematically taking it down, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to explain it to you, and I know it's very late, but developments are happening so fast that that we have to do a lot of preparation. We have to do a lot of preparation to bring it to you the best that we can. So let's start with this video. I'm going to start with this video. Let's listen to it.
Díaz El Mencho, líder del cártel de Jalisco Nueva Generación. Pues resulta que nuestras fuerzas policiales y nuestras fuerzas internas, luego de un...
And I should give you a little heads up. This is a Peruvian news report about, of course, El Mencho. And maybe I'll make it go. Maybe I'll explain it to you as it goes. Yeah. And even speed it up a little.
¿Por qué? Por narcotráfico. Pero lograron su libertad
and she's
para
talking about
piratas asaltar, llegar esta vez a mar peruano y transportar el mayor cargamento de drogas.
I'm going to turn it off. Okay, so while you can go to it and listen to it. But what she's saying is that in Peru, this is the hub for producing cocaine. Yeah, this is the hub for producing the cocaine. And you have to get it over to El Mencho. And this was the Trump's coalition with South America and Central America to stop the cocaine and other drugs from coming into the United States. And they just seized a ship that had 2.4 tons of cocaine. And this is the report about it. It's just jaw-dropping. Every crevice of this ship had bricks of cocaine. And so, and it was headed to El Mencho. Okay. So I don't think it was a mistake that after they seized the log books and all the other documents from El Mencho's when they raided his place and he ended up being killed, that they were able to seize this kind of this, what do you call it? Is just so huge. A seizure of cocaine. I'm not like an investigator, and I'm not in DEA. So I don't have the right words to describe all of this. It's just so shocking to me because I just live in a different world. But this is, well, you can read it there. Peruvian authorities dealt a major blow to drug trafficking after seizing 2.4 tons of cocaine hydrochloride on the high seas, 190 miles off the coast of Talara, in, I don't know how to pronounce that. The operation was carried out by intelligence teams from the anti-drug police and the Peruvian Navy, who intercepted a speedboat transporting the multi-million-dollar shipment destined for abroad. And this was going to El Mencho. That was the whole thing. And let's see. Oh yeah, here's all. It's just incredible. Look at this. Look at this. And so, this goes to people saying, what is Trump doing? What is Trump doing? And now, here's this boat, and it goes to, oh gosh, look at this. Just more and more of it that they're finding in these boats. Now, oh yeah, here, these waters. Can you imagine the communities this destroys? And the fake, the economy that comes from this, that then, it just grows and grows. Because I think people think that they could say, oh, let's just legalize all of this and we, people can govern themselves and that. And then you see what happened to Holland. You see what happened to so many. We'll see what happened to San Francisco, right? And then they'll create something like a drug to counteract it, make an economy after that, economy to do that. So then you're just in this drug economy. You're just in this criminal economy. There's no more really beautiful country left, no more open market left, because everything is about drugs and theft and all the crime that comes with it, you know. So Richard was really a hero to really be the key to unlock all of this. So that's this. I wanted to show you the connection between what happened in Chihuahua, that it comes close, right? Let me see if I can put up my map first before I show you that video. Yeah, right here. So I created a map to show everybody because, down here in South America, the ships come up here, and here's Jalisco. This is El Mencho, right? And then they have to traffic these drugs and these, well, in this case, drugs. And here's El Chapo, this is Sinaloa, and of course that they control, this area. El Mencho, it seems that he was practically controlling Mexico, that he was the real government of Mexico. And you see that Scheinbaum couldn't even come up to Juarez and address the 400 dead bodies, the humanitarian crisis of Plenitude Crematorium. Okay, she couldn't even address that, right? That is how a fake that office is right now, and you don't want it to be fake. You want it to be a real office. But the real power was El Mencho, was El Mayo, was El Chapo. And you see, President Trump took them down. So if you want to know what's going on now, there's arguments like, oh, they're going to be replaced and everything. Well, he's going after Ecuador and Peru. He's stopping the whole drug trade. And I don't want to speak for him, but these are the reports that are coming out that we can put together. And you have the Juarez cartel up here. They're in alliance, right? And you have the El Paso Mormon faction cartel, because in this area here, in the 19th century, the Mormons came through because they were polygamous. And this Mormon faction here. That is Connell Wetton, comes from there. Romney comes from there. And this, of course, they were dual citizens. So they were the access to the United States. That's why they made an alliance with the Mexican cartels, because they could make a deal to provide the visas. So they're the infiltrators. They're the Fort Huachuca infiltrators. They're the Fort Bliss infiltrators. They're the El Paso judicial and law enforcement infiltrators, because if they're not part of the Mormon cartel, then they're part of the Mexican cartel, right? The Juarez cartel, the Sinaloa cartel, the CJNG cartel. That's why you see all of these connections with the cartel, and they absolutely infiltrated Fort Bliss. That's where you see the United States military at Fort Huachuca and Fort Bliss being engaged in trafficking. They were infiltrated, and I get emotional because it's just treason. It's just so much money, and these generals sold us out. They absolutely sold out their country, their oath, and they allowed this to happen. I mean, DES Thomas Kane sold us out. He allowed our son to be stolen off of Fort Bliss, to be killed. Connell Wetton targeted. Connell Wetton of the FBI. What a traitor. he exposed he leaked our son's name, identity to the cartel, and he allowed our son to be killed, along with the generals, along with the director of emergency services. And then there was a huge cover up. And because they're all part of this El Paso Mormon faction cartel. And that's why you see such weird things coming out of Fort Huachuca with the whole Erika Frantzve Kirk situation. And the military being involved in the human trafficking. And don't forget, I showed the other map with the Jeffrey Epstein down to Brazil, John of God pipeline. And that is, all in this Dallas area, connected to the Dallas area because of the military contracts. I think that the contractors need to get out of our military. I think they need to get rid of the contractors. And it's so much money, y'all, and it's so corrupt, and it's so destructive, and it's destroying our countries. Because, you think it's just Mexico, you think it's just the United States, but now it's Ecuador, now it's Peru. Of course, the whole pipeline going over to Cuba. Cuba is, absolutely, the spigot has been turned off, and President Trump has said, within days, they should, it's going to fall. Cuba's going to fall. And this money and then of course you have Haiti and Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, then to St. Thomas. St. Thomas is important because it has the airstrip for Little St. James. And I'll show it to you right now. It's so important to understand these pipelines and why President Trump is having meetings. Did not invite Mexico because Mexico is a narco state. So he must have, and the Panama Canal is a big deal in all of this. And he must have gotten of course he got, because we got some of the intelligence from the log books, the ledgers, the documents from the capture of El Mencho. And that was only a few pieces that were released to the public. Can you imagine, to help the public understand what has been happening, that we have country after country being turned into a narco state, and women and children are not treated nice in a narco state. And why is it that the people that control the media, that control our institutions, and in the United States, it is, in El Paso, we know it's the El Paso Mormon faction cartel. And what are they trying to push? Confusion. Confusion for children, confusion for women, confusion for men, confusion for what a family is. They are just trying to confuse. And who's behind confusion? Well, that's the devil. That's the devil. They're just trying to confuse everything, not give a definition for anything. Let everyone decide for themselves what meaning is. And that's just the path of destruction. When you can't call good, good, and bad, bad, when it's just confusion, that is destruction. And so, and we've been haunted and groomed and hypnotized. I don't think any of us is immune. I don't think anyone is immune with all of the TV, the shows, the music, the way the economy has formed us. They have put questions in our mind where questions didn't need to be, where clearly the truth was defined, and they wanted to confuse us with the truth. And it kind of goes back to the beginning, right? To the Garden of Eden. Did God say? Well, let me tell you. It's just this confusion. You won't surely die. So, we have a lot of work to do, and I think to a quick fix, and this is another thing. We're always told, oh, it's a quick fix. The life is so fast. If we can't get it done quickly, then it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just I cannot tell you how many people and really wonderful people that I love and would tell us, give it up. Give it up. Give up the investigation into Richard. You'll never know. It's too much. And we said no. No. And now we are, well, these, the next step with our lawsuits are just going to be epic, y'all. And the people that were like wanting a quick fix. Well, why didn't the CID do it? Why didn't the FBI do it? Why didn't the command do it? Where are the answers? And they're telling you, you have to do the investigation. Yep, we had to do the investigation. And now we have the truth, and the lawsuits are going to be epic. Absolutely epic. And there's been new developments every day. And this corroborates everything that we've been saying. And that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important. And it corroborates that President Trump is absolutely keeping his promise. Because don't forget, we received 2 letters, not just one, 2 letters. And one outlined his promise, what he was going to do. And the other one wasn't necessary, y'all. Writing Richard as the most amazing hero wasn't necessary for him. But he told the truth. Richard's name is indelible. It'll be written in history forever. He was right about that because it's just that epic. And it is very interesting that that these developments involve the word epic. Epic, a ship. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, but it's a ship that was named Epic St. Thomas and now has been renamed to Gas Noble. Gas Noble. And I think that is so interesting that everything that everything is corroborating what we're saying. So let's go to the map because I think it's or let's go to the video. This is another video. This is an explosion that just happened in Chihuahua, um, right outside in a suburb of Chihuahua. And it was called Gas Noble, but the trucks were labeled with deli gas. And deli gas, from what our research has given us, is a Peruvian company, okay, a business. So this is interesting, right? This is interesting. Why didn't Gas Noble have on their trucks Gas Noble? Why did they have deli gas on it? And this is LPG uh, fuel. And we know by many arrests and seizures that drugs are hidden in LPG bottles, LGP containers. And so this was, of course, you see that there is, and I can play this. Aldama is a suburb, and look at those flames. Do you know that it took an hour before the firemen got there? An hour, y'all. An hour before they got there. These were the trucks, and right here you can see it will be deli gas. And there's a few other pictures, but that are being released, and I'm sure more will come out. But this is a very big event because there is a fuel war going on. We know that El Mencho was involved in fuel siphoning from Pemex, that they would siphon. And of course, let me turn this off, that, well, I wanted to show the map. Of this area here, yeah. I think that's good. Yeah. So, yeah, that the Pemex, they would siphon the fuel out of those pipelines, and then they would sell them back into the United States. They would, yeah, they would sell siphoned fuel back into the United States, and they really hurt the market there, legitimate. It's kind of like the whole restaurant business that the Purchase Arellano Caron's family does, right, in the United States. They don't seem to have licenses or permits. They didn't have licenses or permits for the Plenitude Crematorium. They were operating without it. And so they seem to just, because the cartel are like the mob bosses, they seem to work outside of the law. It's not even seem to work. They, which it creates such a problem for other people that want to have a legitimate business. And then then you're just a narco state. And then you're bullied by these people, and you have to fear for your life because, well, they're starting to act like what they are. We're starting to see well, they've always acted like what they are, and that's an FTO, right? Terroristic. They create terror. They, with coercion, with bullying, with threats, with harassment, put fear so that they could change the politics, that they could change religion. And that's what they're doing. And you see that with what's going on in the religious circles, especially in the United States, and I can only speak for that. I don't know what's happening in Mexico with that, but also the politics. On both sides, we see what happens, that they tamper with elections. They're involved with these election machines. We need the Save America Act. And you see how compromised so many of our people in our government are, because they're fighting against the Save America Act. They don't want to have requirements to vote. And it's show your ID, be an American citizen, right? Things that would protect the people and the children and the women, because through all of this, through the pipeline, and you see it, here's Puerto Rico, Cuba. This is that pipeline they were going through, right? They were going through. And then here you have Ecuador, Peru. Should turn off the pictures, right? But here, the ship was seized with all of 2.4 tons of cocaine hydrochloride, I believe. And then here's Ecuador. They've been, I guess these are some cacao. I don't know what the cocaine plant is called, but yeah, this is where the Trump coalition is reporting from, in this area. And these ships could go right up here to the cartels, which would transfer them up to El Paso and Fort Bliss. Yeah. And these are the islands I can show you. Let's see if I can get close. They're right off of trying to find St. James. Here it is. So this is St. Thomas, okay? And here is Little St. James. So here's St. Thomas. This is why St. Thomas is so important, because this is where the airport is. And then you just come here on a boat or a helicopter to Little St. James. So, yeah, that's important. And if any of you have more information, please share that information. But you see how this is just involves so many countries. And President Trump had his meeting, and you see the reports of him going after this pipeline, this drug pipeline, which includes human trafficking and child trafficking and the worst, and the arms trafficking, all the guns and everything that are involved with it. And so, to be involved in the Middle East with Iran, that is, of course, a big deal. But we're focused here on what he's doing in this area, because this has everything to do with the vicious negotiations for our son's remains. The more victory he has, the more leverage that there is to get our son's remains brought home. And that's why, and also for the well-being of all these countries, if you think that he's not doing anything, you're wrong. You're wrong. And I know people have connected all the infiltrators. You see what's happening in El Paso with the Roman Catholic Church, but you have to realize that at Fort Huachuca, they were training infiltrators to go in and destroy the Christian churches. And it wasn't like going in to destroy other religions. It was clearly targeted at the Christians. So they were infiltrating the Christian churches, the Christian organizations, the Christian humanitarian NGOs and things, and taking them over. And the worst type of things were happening. And so you're going to hear things about TPUSA because they were infiltrated, right? They were infiltrated clearly, and people struggling to recapture it, or try to maintain its original purpose. And and I think it's it's part of their it's the way they make money. And so some of them have even compromised, but you see what's happening with Candace. So many are unhappy with what has happened at TPUSA, and they are giving her so many leaks of what's going on. They trust her. And this is what's been happening in the El Paso, Fort Bliss, and White Sands area. In our case, people have trusted us and they have given us so much information, and we're very, very grateful. And we can tell you that it's controlled by the cartel. It's controlled by the cartel, and it's going to take a lot of work by a lot of us to get our countries back, being it the United States, being it figuring out who are the bad actors in our military, because there's a lot of those, and in the FBI, we've done a lot of that work, and we need a leader that is willing to do something. And right now, what we see is absolutely President Trump turning off the spigots, and if the El Paso, which is a hard one, the philanthropists, right? The El Paso Mormon faction cartel, if they don't have the alliances with the Mexican cartels, if they don't have the El Mayos and the El Chapos and the El Menchos and all the other cartel leaders that have been captured, killed, and extradited, if they don't have the La Diablas, right, to do their trafficking work for them, or not just that, but all the terroristic activities that they do. They are what they are, and they're FTOs. They bring about terror, and they're starting to really show it boldly now. You see that you see the terror that they bring, and before they were always. I remember, like about 2 years ago, it was clear that you could barely even say the word cartel. You could barely even say that word. People would say, "Oh, don't mention the cartel." And now, we're calling them FTOs. We're calling them foreign, or they're not even foreign, right? And President Trump has mentioned that too. Let's just call them terroristic organizations, right? Terroristic organizations, and he really is, um, uh, you know, turning off the spigot and getting closer and closer and closer. I think he's going to go next for the Juarez cartel. I think it's getting that close with the El Mencho, the El Chapo, the El Mayo. The Mexican cartel is really uh, in Chihuahua, that controls Chihuahua's governing house, was the Chapitos faction of the Sinaloa cartel. But I think the CJNG just became so big and in alliance with the Juarez cartel. So I think the Juarez cartel is, if it's not next, it's coming up real quick. It's coming up real quick. And the next one after the Juarez cartel is the El Paso Mormon faction cartel. Okay, so it's everything is being revealed, and I think a big part of that, of course, is the Chinese element of it. Um, a lot of direction and funding and everything from them. Don't forget that Leilani Hart speaks Chinese. She speaks Chinese, or absolutely huge Chinese elements of this. So it's much bigger than what we thought. The infiltration, and they will absolutely target the Christian, because they have infiltrated right into the Christian denominations, and that's where we really need to stand up as Christians, and those that have um, committed crimes, they need to absolutely be held accountable. But we need to rebuild our Christian communities, um, and get back to the basics, to the definitions. And that's why I really have mentioned that it is the Nicene Creed, the Apostles' Creed, and the Nicene Creed, and the Athanasius Creed, and the councils of the church that define what a Christian is. And we need to get back to that instead of um, confusion. And there's been a lot of confusion. So that's my opinion anyway. And when it comes to that, and I'll stick with it. So let's read some of the comments. It's been a long day, y'all, and it's close to 2 o'clock. Long day, a lot going on. You can't. It's very hard to keep up with President Trump. He's moving fast. And I mean, I haven't even mentioned Delaware, where he went to meet the remains coming in from Iran, from that conflict, and what I'm hearing, my intelligence is that he's doing everything possible to end this very quickly. So pray that it does. Pray that happens in Iran, so that we can focus on this. That was my only, well, not only, but it's just such a distraction. But he knows what's happening in the Middle East. Look, it was only 5 days after El Mencho, he's agreeing to Iran, when he forever has held back on that. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to hear everything come out as it gets released. Thank you so much, Laura, for coming on and translating everything in Spanish. That is wonderful. What's your point? That's a drop in the bucket. Okay, whatever. My point is, I come on every night for 2,046 days, 45 days, Oh, well, try doing that. Try going on and doing a live stream every day for 2,040, 45, 46 days. And a lot of that time, I was doing 2 a day. A lot of that time. Okay. Good job. Thank you so much. Exactly. Thank you. Do you think it's too late? Oh no, God is a heavyweight champion, y'all. He's so, and I was born at White Sands. Can you believe it? And when I show this map, it's let me show this map. It's just so incredible. I mean, look, here is White Sands Missile Range. That's where I was born. I was born right there. And I just can't even, it's just jaw dropping because White Sands Missile Range is really the center of it, really. Santa Fe, because here is Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch, and right above that is Bill Sanders Ranch, and right beside here where Albuquerque is where Cesar Duarte's ranch is. I didn't put it on here because there's a question, right? They haven't, this is in reports that I've read that is where his ranch was, but we know he had tons of property there. But things are not all transparent yet, and we're going to find out. But Cesar Duarte was a big deal here with the embezzlement, right? Well, lots of embezzlement, just one crime after the other, right? One crime after the other. One crime led to another crime. And it starts here with this drug trafficking, this drug trafficking, and to get that up there and make this money. It was all about money. It wasn't about goodness, fear of God. People think that if they get money and they become rich, that brings them happiness or something. And I've always rejected that. I don't think so. I don't think so. My Oma was so poor and she was so happy. She was so happy. And, and I'm not against money either, but I don't think money is what makes you happy, And I don't think being poor makes you happy either. It's just, my grandmother had other qualities, um, other qualities. So, okay. Do you think they are? But I think that God is going to, his hand has been all over this. Think about the whole Nadal Baim incident. If you don't know about the Nadal Baim incident that happened on October 26th of 2020, that I think that when we turned in that CCTV footage, when we turned in the video of the cashier along with the CCTV footage to the FBI, to the command, I think that they all got very, very sick. To put it politely, they all got very, very sick. And they lied to us, y'all. They lied to us thinking that we would never find out who Nadal Baim, the Palestinian arms dealer that was the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, our son's command, and absolutely with the cartel through Willie Moya, Arturo Alba, right? Connected to those that were connected with the cartel family members, like Gustavo Sanchez, the Texas Ranger that was assigned to our case, related to Nadal Baim and with this cartel. And there's more. There's so much more, you know. So the very people that targeted Richard were signed to us, and they all knew that. The FBI knew it. The command knew it because they were dirty, part of the El Paso Mormon faction cartel. They're a cartel. Sean Bernabe is so dirty. Major General Sean Bernabe, who just retired, he's looking for a job. He needs to be arrested, and the death penalty needs to be on the table for treason. For treason. That's how serious this is. And I think our lawsuits will be epic. Epic. And we've worked very, very hard. Sometimes, it's like, my eyes get very tired. But it gives this false appearance that we're not very serious or absolutely determined and right on target. And we are absolutely determined and right on target, and we are working hard. And I think that the same look is in President Trump. Sometimes his eyes look swollen, He is so determined. He is making this happen, and so are we. And so are we. And we're with him. Until now, he has absolutely, you know them by their fruit. And is he surrounded? Yes. Have we been surrounded? Until you get in that situation when you're surrounded by imposters and false actors, and even those that targeted Richard and participated in the worst crimes against our son, until you're surrounded like that, it's hard to understand it. It's hard to understand it, but we do. We understand it. And the command lied to us. So I think after going through all of that, oh yeah, God, it's not too late. But we all need to share. We all need to share. And I thank you so much for sharing our information. And we need to stand and not be afraid. Only fear God. There's so much at stake. So, but God's already won. God's already won. Is this being recorded so we can share? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the opposite that is always obstructing. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I found you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. Yeah. What is the El Paso Mormon cartel faction? The El Paso Mormon faction? Well, they are the cartel of El Paso. It's a Mormon faction, just like it sounds. It's a Mormon faction. Philanthropists, and they are in alliance with the Mexican cartels, and they're they made an alliance giving visa access and protection and privileges because they have access to intelligence databases. They were giving cartel access to intelligence databases, to visas, to businesses that, if you weren't licensed, if you didn't get a permit, who cares? No one bugged you. And this is how the cartel operated and operates in the United States. They do it in alliance with the El Paso Mormon faction cartel. And it's big. I can't lie to you. It's big. It's not relegated or to just El Paso. It's big. So, and they, absolutely have a lot of power within our military and within our intelligence institutions and judicial institutions and law enforcement. I mean, it's just so big. So this is what President Trump has absolutely had to address. And the prosecutors, we have James Montoya, he's an imposter, right? So President Trump has to jump over that kind of corruption where, where the prosecutors and the judges and all that are all compromised. So that answers, I think, a lot of why and how and where and what's going on and where are the arrests and stuff. The FBI has been compromised. The CIA has been compromised. He's having to do this with a very compromised government system. Very. And I think we're a government by the people, of the people, for the people, and then sharing and getting this word out and supporting him. Because anyone that doesn't want to make America great again, I think, they infiltrate and they take the symbols, and the hat is a symbol now, right? And they want to dirty the symbols. They want to, well, they want to confuse everybody. It goes to the very beginning of what I said. They want to bring confusion. And I don't think there's any confusion with Make America Great Again. None. To make America great again should be the goal, right? So thank you so much. And God bless you. Have a great Sunday. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.